What fucking makes you think that you're going, I fancy a McDonald's, I'll have a fucking cheeseburger with a bit of melon? What makes you think that way? We've got a bloke at work we call Pothole. Everyone tries to avoid him. I used to work with a guy called Andrew Fitzhall. So we used to call him one size because it was one size fits all.
Why would I want to own it and pay depreciation on it?
The one thing that people don't take into consideration is the storage of it, and then the diversity of the work, as you're saying, you know.
For the size of our country, there is a lot of plant in this country, isn't there? And a lot of plant that comes through this country.
If you're saying you're a road builder, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get X amount of metres of road built. He shouldn't have to worry about how much he's going to have to sell his excavator for. That's the thing to take into consideration. I want that machine from Flannery because I know they've looked after it.
That's really interesting.
What we used to do, stick the steamer on, close all the doors and fuck off down the pub.
I got all of it
Then come
off.
back, it will just fall off.
Yeah, got no ceiling at the end of the day.
I got mould on the ceiling, got the wallpapers off. So have you ever been scrunched up for 3 hours?
There's people doing 9 hours on a dinghy over the channel. They had a bring your children to work day on a Saturday kind of thing. So his nickname is the Milkman because none of his kids look like him.
The opinions expressed within this podcast are solely the individuals and do not reflect the opinions and beliefs of the sponsors or its affiliates.
I'm glad, right, my kids were old enough, you know.
Well, I'm trying to think what you would have had. Would you had Teletubbies, did you?
Yeah, there was some Teletubbies. So the first, what I've experienced, you know, obviously they're all growing up now, was Disney films. They loved the Disney film, you know.
Oh, Aladdin and all this.
Yeah, I think Sam was Jungle Book.
Oh yeah, that's old school. Yeah,
it gives him like that kind of lost boy kind of thing. I think he's grown up into one of them kind of lost boy kind of things. And, you know, going through the jungle of life.
Who's the bear then?
And then
Here's Gigi.
I don't know, whoever he meets along the way, you know. He always wanted to get out of home when he was young.
Did he have red?
From the age of about 14, he wanted his own house. So he's definitely Mowgli.
Did he have red pants?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Did he walk around in red pants?
And then the next one down, my oldest daughter was Mary Poppins. She watched that 15 times a day, and yeah, she probably does fly like a kite at the moment, you know, bit wayward and all over the place. Then my next son, who's let's call him the black sheep or the rebel, not really a black sheep, but more of the rebel, you know, a bit like me, I suppose. He liked that deep blue sea, you know, where the sharks bite people in half. Yeah. So that's gone a long way to where he is, and my youngest one is it was Cinderella, 15 times a day, you know, Cinderella, and she.
Is she trying to be a princess though?
No, not really, but she likes dressing up and being that, you know, looking good and stuff like, you know, she's got she dresses differently for the occasion. 1 minute she'll be like Cinderella, the next minute she'll be like fucking what's his name, Manson from the
Marilyn Manson,
with the old black eyeliner and all that, you know. But yeah,
Pete Byrne.
I think with these, but what used to do me head in about children's programs in the morning was that if you've ever had a day off with your children, is like they used to start early doors, like 6-7 o'clock in the morning, and then about 12 o'clock you think, thank fuck I got that over. They repeated themselves in the old days on CBBS, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, you used to have 2 lots, yeah.
2 lots exactly the same. So you'd be watching the second lot, and they would want to watch the second lot. And do you know what? You couldn't turn the telly over, like to put something else on when you think they were playing, because even though they were playing, they were watching it, and they put it back on. Well, I think the funniest thing I ever see with children was, because of the amount of shit they watched on the telly, they used to play together, well they'd play on their own with toys in like an American accent.
Yeah, I've seen that. My mate's had a kid, and he's sort of getting this a bit of American accent, and it's strange.
Do you know what? I think it's Eastern European countries, right? They're learning English from American people. So when an Eastern European that speaks fluent English speaks to you, that's learnt it from a tutor or something, they're how you doing? And you think, what, you from America? Because it's got that slight Borat twang as well. You know what I mean?
Well, the amount of regional accents
How's
we've
it go?
got, I don't know. I mean, look, we had Gavin on last week, you know, and I don't think he'd be, you know, like me, the best English teacher, would he, with that Yorkshire T accent of his.
What do you reckon? So here's a quiz, right, before we start. What do you think has got to be the worst accent to be like trying to teach someone English? It's got to be the thickest northernest Scottish.
Glaswegian.
Something like
Yeah, it's got to be.
Deep Glaswegian, a deep Scouse are similar, but, you know, like a Geordie, you know. But then people
We might be pissing
like
a few
listen to
people
me
off
from
there.
the north, and they go, "Do you want to slow down a little bit, Mark, and pronounce your words?" Because I'm obviously from where I am. You just cut
Water.
most of it down.
Yeah,
you?
water.
You take all the letters off and throw them off. But yeah, so yeah. Well, another week, guys. We're still here.
Another week.
That's it.
Charlie, you've moved in by now, I would have hoped.
Certainly have.
Have you, or haven't you?
Moved in. Happy days. Yeah, we're doing this like obviously the week after.
Are you waking up in a cloud of dust where you're still doing work?
I am. I go to sleep and then I'd wake up and there's literally just sawdust all over me. Nah, it's all right. It's a struggle, but you got to do what you got to do, ain't you? You know, it's I've still got my living room that I need to do, which brings me on to what's doing my head in, because I'm like, I tell you what, they put a load of wallpaper up in the living room.
Hold on, who has?
So, like the people that owned it before.
Oh right, I thought you were going to say you got
So-
another contractor.
No. If only. So that what must have happened is someone years ago must have painted it, and then they would have put wallpaper over it at a later date, and then they would have painted it again at some point, right? So then I'm here like trying to get like the living room up to scratch. So I start like taking off this wallpaper, and it's like it's coming off, and there's like just loads of like wallpaper still stuck on it, and there's like, but then not only that, the paint that was originally on there is also coming off in chunks. So it's like basically got like bits of wallpaper and paint like plastered all over this wall. So I got like quoted like 600-700 quid to like plaster it, which I was just like, I ain't paying that just out of principle, it's just not happening. So I was like, right, what do I do? Because the walls now are like bumpy, so because of this paint that's still stuck on it. So I can't get rid of this paint. It's ridiculous.
You got to rub it down.
You paid the
haven't
fucking £500, Charlie, and get the thing plastered. Or
I
you
know.
do it yourself.
I need to do it. Yeah, I could plaster
you?
it myself. but
Personally,
everyone
I'd get
advised me not to do
plastered,
that.
'cause
I know.
Otherwise, you got to get an electric sander, and you got to sand it.
Well, that's what I've started to do.
Oh, Charlie,
so
the dust.
I started doing that. Well, I bought this electric sander. It's got like a vacuum extension on it, so it takes all the dust away, which is actually really good, to be fair. But in terms of taking the dust away, but the actual thing that's supposed to be sanding it down, I don't think is that great. So it's like, for crying out loud, I've literally gone and done this, and then I'm like sitting there thinking, I'm just gonna have to go and get it plastered. So it's an absolute nightmare. But I also, all this flipping like wallpaper that's still like on there, I've been using like the wallpaper scraper and the wallpaper like steamer, everything like that. It's just an absolute nightmare, that is. But
Wallpaper's a piece of piss, Charlie.
it
right?
should be a
Have you
piece of
got-
piss to
you got
take
edge-
off.
You got
and I've-
edge-og?
Yeah, edge-og.
Exactly, you ain't got edge-og
What's
with you. So it's a roller with spikes, and you spike it all up.
Yeah.
And just, what we used to do, stick the steamer on,
Yeah.
close all the doors, and fuck off down the pub.
I got all of
Then
it
come
off.
back, it will just fall off.
I've got all of
them.
them.
Needs to get behind, doesn't it?
I've got all of the main
Won't
bits
that fuck the
off.
ceiling up?
Well, what's fuck the hell?
Yeah,
won't
got no
just-
ceiling at the end of the
you
day.
just-
I got mould on the ceiling,
Yeah.
but my wallpaper's
Of
off.
course it won't. Unless it shows you how much decorating you ain't done in your fucking time. Yeah? Jesus.
I'm old school, sponge and scraper.
I've got the majority of the
You can
wallpaper
sponge it.
off, right? The majority of the wallpaper's off. It's just all them little like shitty bits, like all in the corner and stuff like that. And the bits that like they're just like, it's like the underneath the wallpaper that's like, you know, it's like the, I don't know what it's even called, but it's like there's still like bits of paper like sitting on there, and it's like, for fuck's sake. So yeah, that's doing my head in. But
If you want any DIY,
if you want any
tips,
DIY,
come to us.
don't give me a shout.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Good job we're talking
Have you got
about.
any pictures from before and after?
Yeah, I would have.
We could put
yeah,
online, like, you know, so people
Yeah,
can see
show
what
me
fuck
how
up
so,
you
yeah.
made.
Yeah. Well, you know what the biggest problem is? There's a lot of before. There's no after pics.
Maybe it's in reverse order. So just letting you know that what you think was the before is probably the after.
I was
If you do see the pictures.
I was
So-
thinking that the other day with the garden. I was like, how did it get that bad? How did it get that bad?
It's the most
still
stressful
spiky.
time, they reckon. That's why it's doing your head. They reckon divorce and having children, or having a baby and moving is the biggest.
What about wedding? That's supposed to be one as well. Getting married, isn't it?
Well, you'd know, Mark. You know what I mean? I think we're going to do a bit about nicknames today, and you used to be called Ross, didn't you, from Friends?
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've realised I've probably had more weddings than we've done podcasts.
I think you're right. Absolutely, you're spot on. Actually,
Do you know what's doing my head in?
go on.
What's that?
I'm getting anxious about it now because I go on holiday Saturday, right? And you've seen the length of my legs, right? I don't fit in a plane seat, and it does my head in.
Oh, mate.
I literally, right, and no, what actually does my head in is the bit where I probably would benefit from the emergency exit, and it does my nutting. Because on the way to the toilet, when you go to the toilet on a plane, I always go like this. I have a look, who's actually sitting? It's always the shortest people in the world, isn't it? So all these people, they get and they're like this, aren't they? They've got their legs all out like that, and which only, by the way, comes to about there. And I think,
Why don't you get the exit one?
because they're always booked up, or they want you to pay loads of extra money for it. So I've got to pay. So because I don't fit in a conventional seat, I've got to pay all the money to get.
So you're thinking you're being fined unfairly, really? You're getting like a long person's tax.
Yeah.
On the airplane.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't, and I have tried sitting in the aisle, right? And do you know what I do? I try and get my knee, because my knees come. I get my knee out like that, and then the old trolley dolly comes in, bang! Oh God! And before you know where you are, I need a knee replacement by the time we land.
Where are you going? Anywhere nice?
I'm going to Italy.
It's like an hour flight, you fucking dolly. What's the matter?
No, it's we're going right down the south. So we're going right down the bottom to a place called Pizzo, which is
by Monopoly and all that. Monopoly.
what do you mean?
Down the
What was that, Jamaican?
Pisa. So you've got like the heel of the boot.
Yeah, that's it. If you was to volley one off
So
the
look for
laces,
a place called Monopoly, which is part of that same district.
I like the accent you attribute to that.
Yeah.
Just trying to work out what it was.
It's lovely. So it's beautiful.
So I'm there. I think it's a 3-hour flight. So that's why I'm
So
missing.
you're going to what airport is it? Beginning with B, didn't it?
No, G.
Oh, what's that?
Gatwick.
Oh no,
The one over there.
you're flying into Bari.
No, I think it's. I can't remember. I can look it up.
Just make sure you got that.
I'm going to have a look.
Just make sure you know before you get on the plane.
An OEM we sell their product called Pro Move. He's down there. So if you could pop in and pick up a couple of breakers for me on the way home, that'd be most appreciated.
La Mise à Turn.
Okay, yeah, don't know it.
La Mise à Turn. No, I don't know either. It sounds all a bit suspect, but.
So is this like a summer holiday sort of thing, or is it like relaxation, or is this like going and doing a bit of a touring and
this is
sightseeing?
No relaxation. This is a much needed battery recharge.
Nice.
I'm hoping it consists of food, because you know I like my food, and sitting by the pool, and more food and sitting by the pool, and basically repeat for 7 days. My daughter's with me, so.
But you've got to get through a whole hour or an half on a plane to Italy.
But why have you halved it? It's 3 hours.
3 hours.
Why are you playing it down? It's 3 hours. Have you ever been scrunched up for 3 hours?
There's people doing 9 hours on a dinghy over the channel.
Yeah.
You're going on about 3 hours and you're sipping cocktails and having like cheese and
but
toasties on EasyJet.
Yeah, but the reason why they're doing it is because apparently they're getting free pizza and Costa and haircuts and God knows whatever else.
Yeah, but they've got to do the 8 hours before they get that free pizza and cocktail. You do the 3 hours. During that 3 hours, you can drink and eat as much as you want. What's the matter with you? Anyway, funny enough about food. Talking about food, that's what's doing my head in. McDonald's. When's the last time you did McDonald's?
I had a McDonald's about 2 days ago.
So what have you noticed about McDonald's? In the old days, in McDonald's, you'd go in there, you'd fucking queue up, yeah? You'd say, I'd have one of them.
Oh, no,
and they had it on the back, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they give it to you.
Do you know what the reason for that is?
No, but now, what I'm trying to say is what's doing me head in, because it's me what's doing me head in, it's not what's doing your head in. Is you walk in, and there's all these fucking screens everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to get to these fucking screens.
Yeah.
And thank fuck for COVID, because you've got to touch a screen that everyone's fucking had a go at. There's about 1,000 people going there. It never prints the fucking ticket out.
No, ever, no.
No.
And one of the things that was on there is like, goes, do you want a meal deal? You know, like, do you want to make that a meal? So that's fair enough. You press your burger, don't you? It makes it a meal. And now, have you seen what they offer you? It ain't just fucking chips now. They're offering you melon. You know, what fucking makes you think that you're going, I fancy a McDonald's, I'll have a fucking cheeseburger with a bit of melon? What makes you think that way?
Have you ever tried it though?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried a cheeseburger with a bit of melon?
No, I haven't. I don't want to. I want to fucking... Guess what I want?
Yeah.
Chips, yeah?
I suppose if
And
you
then-
wanted a melon, you'd
And then
go
you're
down
standing
the...
there,
You
like
would,
you're
you
standing there, your fucking number, you've got to wait for your number, it comes up and then it goes away. Your number fucking like, you know,
98.
yeah, or 16 or something like that. 16, I think it was, and you're looking at it, and then they're going 22, and that's the other thing. You're standing there, and like, you're just minding your own business. All of a sudden, it says 63. Fucking shit the life out of it. You know what I mean? You know, these people. You know what part of their job description is that you've got to come out and fucking welly it out. You know, come to work for McDonald's. I don't think it's the same environment that you used to have.
Do you reckon a guy that... Do you remember the guy that used to call out all the stations? You know, stopping at Wellingborough, so-and-so. So he'd be quite good at
Or
McDonald's,
the
wouldn't
Big
he?
Brother guy. You know the guy that does the Big Brother fucking thing, and here in the house today, and you know.
Oh, yeah.
Did
Charlie's talking to Mark.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're just trying to talk to Charlie. 60 fucking free again. You know what I mean? Does my nutting. Absolute does me nutting. You know, and then you ain't got a ticket. They're asking you, can I have me ticket? Well, I ain't got a ticket because the printer never fucking works, does
It
it?
gives you like 3 seconds, don't it? If the printer don't work, I've had that, and then it literally shows the number on there for like 3 seconds. And if you're not like on it, like and looking elsewhere, you don't know what the hell your number is.
You're knackered, yeah.
You have no idea.
And you're okay if there's only one or two people about because you think, well, I know these guys are before me. But if it's busy, you're busted. That's
But
it.
is there something I'm missing on the thing? Because every time I go in there for a basic burger and chips, everyone else who's ordering like for about 15 people gets in front of me, even though they've ordered behind me.
Do you know what you want to do? I haven't done this yet, but I reckon this might be the hack, right? You got an app, ain't you? A McDonald's app. You can order it before you even get there. Or you can just order it rather than touching the screen.
How do they know when you're there then?
You give a
must
number,
just
don't you?
say.
But that's
yeah,
it's
you
all right
must
for the
just say.
drive-through. The drive-through's all right.
Well, yeah, but you could just do it like on your phone, walk in, collect
Do you
it.
know what the biggest problem is with a drive-through? Is you know you've been done when this happens, right? You order on the old machine, you know, can I take your price? You do all
Yeah,
that, right?
can't hear, fuck
Yeah,
all.
can't hear. I'll have a milkshake. Right? And then you get to the window and pay for it. Then they go, drive down to the next window, please. And you think, lovely, oh God, I'm salivating here, I'm starving. You get to the next window and lady leans out with nothing in her hands. You know you've been done. And she goes, can you park in the grill spot one? And you think, I've only ordered a
And you
cheeseburger.
can't park in number one because someone's fucking parking in there eating their fucking
Yeah.
cheeseburger because the car park's full up.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
And then you
Now-
try and you think, I've got to stop the car. How do I stop the car? But did you see them guys coming through the drive-through? Have you ever done that ever late at night? You know, where you've kind of acted like you're a car.
What they walk
So you're
through.
walking through like a car driving up. You know, can I have one of these, please? And then you get, you know, because they don't know that you ain't a car, do they? Until you get round the fucking thing.
Yeah. I had to go. I knew this was. I knew I was taking my chance. I had to do a meeting on machine control with our friend Mike, and there was the client at about 13 or 14.
James?
Yeah.
The Welsh Cockney.
That's it. Yes, yeah. He even said to me, "This ain't our first rodeo, is it, Mark?" So I said, "I got 14 Big Macs meals with straw. I couldn't be bothered. You see, the thing is, you've got to know the hacks. Don't get drinks because they'll spill everywhere. Get milkshakes, right? So 14 Big Mac meals with
I've
strawberry
never been in a
shakes.
fucking McDonald's when the milkshake machine's working. Have you?
Well, I would have been knackered if it was. I've got to say, right, the McDonald's at Stanmore was serving milkshakes. So 14 large Big Mac meals with strawberry shakes, got to site, munched the hell out of that, then had a bit of a machine control lunch and learn. But I knew, I was expecting it. She went, when she said, "Oh, can you park in the grill bay?" So I've parked in the grill bay, right? Honestly, it was like something out of a film. Eventually, by the way, about 4 members of staff come out with all the bags. I thought, oh, this looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Loaded it all in the car, got on the site, enjoyed.
Okay.
Fair play.
Right, so today we're going to, want somebody, based on a question that someone wrote in, they're saying, look, you talk a lot about plant hire and the plant, I'm in the market. I don't know what to do. I don't know what the best thing is. Should I buy it or should I hire it? So I thought we could have a little bit of debate and give people the advice in and out of what's the best process. And I think I'll start off by saying it kind of depends on a lot of factors, isn't it? And maybe we can, what you two thoughts on what factors they are, really?
I'll be honest with you, and this is only me personally, and I know you might argue I'm biased because I'm in the higher game, but I've never understood why people buy it, and I'll tell you the reason why. The people I deal with, generally, contractors, do a job. They do a job, whether it's a 6 months job, whether it's a 6 week job, whether it's a 2 year job, right? Your job is to, let's say, install a road, right? I'm installing a new motorway, a new A road, whatever it is. So I've quoted and won this job. I've won the job. I've submitted my prices, right? So the labour, the material, the plant, all the stuff that's needed to make that road and hand it over to Highways England, for example, is all in there, right? So surely I want to rent the machines, do the job, off-hire the machines. Why would I? Because I can't see the sense in it. Why would I want to own it and pay depreciation on it, have to maintain it and service it and buy parts for it, and don't forget I've got to deliver it and collect it if I own it as well, right? Why would I want all that when my job is to build roads, right? So I want to build the road, hire and buy.
So you're saying that you'd have to have too much of a diverse fleet. If you were doing a big project, you'd have a diverse fleet, wouldn't you? You'd have to. So to buy everything is kind of sometimes impossible.
And let's say I'm doing smaller jobs. I'm a smaller contractor. Let's say I got a 13 tonner, for example. Let's say I bought it, right? You can bet your bottom dollar the next job you get. Oh, what do I need? I need an 8, right? So you've then got the problem of keeping the 13 busy, and then let's imagine you can get away with a 13 tonner. I can put the 13 tonner in lieu of the 8. I've got enough room, but then you've got to ask yourself, I'm paying depreciation on a 13 tonner, I could be hiring an 8. So me personally, I would hire it. I sit in the hire camp. I don't know why you.
There's a lot to say. The one thing that people don't take into consideration is the storage of it, and then the diversity of the work, as you're saying, but if you're doing similar work, is it fair to say that if I'm a landscaper, I just need one little machine, it's always there, I don't have to worry about I've got a job tomorrow, it's an emergency job maybe, or it's something I've just taken on extra that I don't have the local hire company's going to have one available? Or do you feel that's...
I think it entirely depends on the business, right? Like you say, if you're a landscaper and you know that you need that piece of equipment every time you're going out there and sort of doing what you need to do, I think that there's definitely an argument for it. I mean, you've got depreciation and that sort of thing, but it depends whether that is a similar cost to what it would cost to hire something over the period of time that you're using it. But yeah, I mean, as for like the versatility, if you're buying a piece of plant, that's it. Like that's the plant that you've invested in, and you might need 3 or 4 different pieces of kit on other jobs, and you're going to have to go and hire it. You're not going to go and buy all of those things again. So it really depends, doesn't it? But
I think the associated costs on big contractors, there's big house builder ground workers out there that own their own equipment, but you do see it like in a 7-year cycle. There'll be they'll buy loads of kit, and then all of a sudden, maybe through the harder times, they end up selling all the kit and going back to a rental solution. But I think I'm kind of, obviously I'm a hire person as well, Mark, but I've also had a contracting arm, and I can see both arguments. But I think it's the real life cost that people don't take into consideration. Most people will say, how much is that to hire? And you'll say to them, 20-ton excavator, £650, £700 a week, yeah? And they go, it'll only cost me £400 if I bought it over the length of the project. But what they don't take in is all the associated costs.
Yeah.
like the breakdowns, the wear and tear, that
Servicing.
the fact that they think that it's going to be worth of value. This is the biggest one I see. They say they always go by a formula. Everyone goes by this. It's worth 50% after 3 years and 30% after 5 years. There's like a rule of thumb, but it's absolute nearly a myth. It all depends on what's happening that day, and in actual fact nowadays it's driven by what's happening in like Euro auctions, Ritchie's auctions, whatever that value of that machine has gone through, that 20-ton Hitachi's gone out for, is what people think it's worth. That's the evidence they've got. So if you then go and sell it and you can't get the value, and as you say, you're right in that the advantage is obviously if you've paid your finance and you've had it a couple of years, it's not costing you that much at all, and then when you go to sell it you can have a little bit of a cash influx and it gives you the deposit back, doesn't it?
I guess you get the money back. I suppose for me it's like if your core business is landscaping, for example, and I need to landscape this area here, an excavator is a tool for the job. That's not, your business isn't necessarily hiring excavators to yourself. It's your job is doing the landscaping. So in my mind you're debt free, aren't you? In the sense that if I do that job, if I hire excavators, do that job, finish the job, make my profit, off hire the machines, let's say I've made 20 grand profit on this job, I've made 20 grand profit, thanks very much. Now if I own the machine and I'm waiting for my next job to start, and it's not starting this month, it's starting next month, like you said, Mark, I've got storage fees, I've got depreciation. So have I really made 20 grand on my initial first job?
Yeah.
Probably not, because now internally I've got costs accruing for this excavator.
Yeah.
Plus I've got I've got to deliver it and collect it. Now, do you outsource that, or do you start running lorries as well?
The biggest factor I look at is some of these big contractors that have got a whole fleet of machines, and you think, great, they're running like a plant hire business, they think internally against, with their contracting arm, but how much are they paying for people to be sitting in offices and, as you say, storage of the equipment and dealing with the service engineers that you've got to have and the workshops you've got to have.
Raising internal hire contracts.
So it's not, once you take that into consideration, I think it washes its face on cost. So it's really but you haven't got the flexibility to I suppose the upside is that when you can take a job on, you've got equipment there to go straight away, but most hire companies have got stuff sitting nowadays, haven't they? Available to go, especially in the downturn that we're seeing at the moment.
Another interesting thing, actually, you're saying about when you go to sell it. So I was speaking to a business the other day, and they've got like a division of their business that really goes to town on making sure that their equipment that they've had, for 2, 3, 4 years out on hire actually ends up looking as pucker as it possibly can be. So they'll have like a whole workshop and everything to bring it all up to scratch. So when they then take it to the auctions, they are getting as much for it as possible, and they seem to think that really works doing that, because there's obviously some companies that will just say, they'll give it a clean down and just send it straight off to auction, but
that's what to be honest with you, Charlie, that's what the auctioneers would advise you to do. They say that they don't really like people to spray and paint second-hand kit, because the buyers think that they're hiding something. And the new trend is to see machines going through with your brand on. So years ago, you'd be taking off, your Lynch or your Flannerys, you'd be taking it off. But because they're strong brands and they look after their machinery,
it's a selling point.
People are going, I want that machine from Flannery because I know they've looked after it.
That's really interesting, isn't
it? So that's a different trend to what it used to be. Like you said, that used to be, and I think if you speak to that company again, I would advise him to be very careful about what he does. A few panels here and there, repairing them and cleaning it up, but there's nothing wrong with a digger going through auction with a few scratches on it, because people aren't looking at that. They're more interested in the mechanical
workings.
And they know they're getting a second-hand machine.
And here's an interesting bit, just going on the back of that, and you two guys might know a bit more information on this, because I don't, What's this situation? Because let's be honest, we are a small country, and for the size of our country, there is a lot of plant in this country, isn't there? And a lot of plant that comes through this country. So for people that have got a fleet, and let's say it's coming up for 3 years, and they're going to auction, are they? What's the second-hand market like? Are they putting their fleet into auction flooded already with a lot of plant, or what's the situation?
Well, I think when you've had that problem, what would a dealer prefer? A dealer would actually prefer to have some big plant like companies they're selling to, but not necessarily selling like 150 machines at a time to one company, who then dump them into the second-hand market 3 or 4 years later as 150 machines. All that does is devalue your product. And I think an ideal situation. The other thing is the ideal situation is that you're selling in smaller batches because you're getting a better margin at the front end because you're only buying 1 or 2. If Charlie's buying 150, I'm going to have to discount that heavily, So that customer now expects to pay that lower rate, even if he comes back to you for 5 or 6. See what I mean?
Yeah,
he's got that in his head. So it's a very tricky market, and that's why I've always said to people when they've said to me, "Well, you're a hire company, you buy your kit. Why shouldn't I buy my kit?" I think because it's horses for courses. That my skill set is selling that equipment out into the world. I've got all the contacts and all the tentacles out into the far reaches of the world to sell that equipment at the best price I think I can get, which is not dictated therefore by an auction. I don't put anything for an auction unless we've got a lot of stock that we have to move out of. But so you're getting to retail value now, you're making some good, but that's my business strategy. Whereas a contractor, a waste provider, whatever you are, your business is production, isn't it? So if you're saying you're a road, builder, that's what he needs to do. He needs to get X amount of metres of road built. He shouldn't have to worry about how much he's going to have to sell his excavator for. That's the thing to take into consideration. There's nothing wrong with smaller builders, I don't think. Smaller people owning, it adds, if you're a small company, it does add some value to the balance sheet, doesn't it? As you're paying it off, you've got 1 or 2 different bits and pieces, and it gives you a bit of a leg up, maybe to get a bit more credit. So there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But as you get, maybe you use that rule of, you buy 50 or 60. When you're re-hiring 30 or 40%, then maybe you buy a couple more. No, there's a split. Obviously, hire people, we'll always say, we'll give you more drawbacks. Obviously, big contractors, when they're selling in volume, they're obviously getting big lumps of cash back into their business. So if they buy 100 machines, like the plant hire kind of routine, you buy 100 machines, 3 or 4 years later, you're selling them 100 machines, hopefully out of finance, so everything you're getting back in is cash. You can then choose to buy another 100 machines with a deposit and keep a bit of cash, or only buy 50, depending on how your business goes. So there's a lot to be said about getting the cash back into your business on that side. Obviously, the benefits of hire, we all know, is you've got the opposite to that. You've got no investment cost. Just pick the phone up, and you will deliver one. Whatever clock time it is, and it breaks down, it's your fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there's a lot. What you're saying is a lot of construction equipment in the UK, and that's driven by the unique rental market within the UK, isn't it? Because we then turn our machines around every 2 or 3 years, whereas in Europe they're more owner. Traditionally, they were more owner operators, if you like, and they would keep their machine 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Americans will take a machine sometimes up to 3 or 4 years, then spend 30 or 40 grand on a new undercarriage and new seats and everything else like that to get another 3 or 4 years out of it. So there's different models around the world, but obviously they've got a big market anyway to sell equipment into, so they don't. And now they're getting into rental as well. I'm sure that's going to explode.
Yeah, I think what's driven the purchasing from from our side for the last few years. If when I think to when Crossrail started, do you remember it was a DPFs? All machines got to have DPFs. So of course we're all frantically buying machines that have got diesel particulate filters. Then now you've got all the Euros, haven't you? It's got to be Euro compliant this, Euro compliant that. You know, so we're. I mean, if I go back to the 90s, the late 90s, early 2000s, a dumper was a dumper, a digger was a digger, and you know, the company I was working for at the time was almost rewarded for keeping the old stuff working and going. The depreciation, the written down value would have been zero, so it would have been all profit, you see. And you'd rent this stuff out, and your company would make a good profit on older stuff. In fact, the newer stuff was harder to make profit on because of the written down values. So I think the last few years we've been forced to purchase new equipment, and even, you know yourself, Mark, contractors stipulate now, don't they? Nothing older than 3 years. That's like a thing now, isn't it?
Yeah. I won't name the particular rules are there because of environmental rules, but they're always there to be broken. I remember a particular project, and we won't matter where it was in London, but we were asked to spec a particular type of machine, because of the price of that machine and therefore the cost of it, it was deemed by the contractor, even though it was a high profile job, that we can't afford that, we haven't priced for that, so we better go and get one from somewhere else in Europe, which was like a category 2 stage 2 engine, absolute dog of a machine, but it came in at the price that they wanted. I think the price that they had estimated is about £2,000 a week, and the machine they wanted, which was about nearly £2 million for the size of this machine, 150 tonne, wasn't it? 1.5 million pound was around about 11 grand, 10 grand a week. You know, they were like, fuck it,
Wow.
Can't pay that. So they soon changed their tune, and all bets are off.
I remember.
But you've got your stuff. I think with the hire, the benefit of the hire is that all the new gadgets like Highways England wanted you to have, and the machine control we spoke about with Gavin, and 360 cameras and bits and pieces like that. The top hire companies are prepared to invest in that because they know they get their return. You know, knowing that other hire companies won't. You know, and contractors also don't really want to spend, because it pushes the price up from a basic machine out of the water, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you own the machine and you're now modifying it for a particular client, that might be the one and only job you're doing for them. So the thousands of pounds worth of investment that you've made to put this gadget on, if you like, what do you do after the job's finished? You're not going to get your money back. But I suppose with hire companies, they put the gadget on, you might hire to, let's say, Highways England, then someone else might hire that machine for a Highways England job, and so on and so forth. So a hire company's got a better chance of reclaiming the cost.
So to answer Richard's question you sent in, sorry, Charlie.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, you know, we've been very pro-hire, obviously. So in terms of, like, you know, there are businesses out there that are buying their own equipment, a lot of them. So, you know, why are they doing that still, and what's in it for them?
Well, I think to be honest with you, maybe it does sound like we're coming across as hire people, but I feel, I think it depends on a couple of things. It depends on what type of projects you're working on. You know, what is your business and what type of projects you're working on. If you're doing the same thing in and out, like an MV Kelly type of groundworking business, then
it's more specialist.
They know what they need, and buying their equipment, or most of their equipment, and hiring in what they don't want to carry is probably a really good model.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here, you know. And if I was a contractor, I'd be thinking of that, because if all I need in my fleet is a load of 14 and 20 ton excavators standardly specced up, then, and I know that I'm going to utilise them, keep them utilised for the majority of that year.
That's the thing, the utilisation, right?
Then I'm going to buy them. And not only that, the contractor, if he has got his own kit, he's probably, what we spoke about last week with Gavin, he's probably employing directly his operators rather than hiring them in from an agency.
Yeah.
So therefore, that operator might be assigned to a machine. He's going to look after it better, isn't he? He's going to get the you know, and you know, so that I would. If I was that kind of contractor, to answer the question, I would say, yeah, I would do that, and I would top up 20% of my fleet with hired products that I don't really want to carry, or I haven't got space for. But yeah, I think it depends on if you're doing a lot of similar type of machinery and you don't really need a diverse fleet, then it's all you should buy, and hire the rest.
Yeah, because you're right. Yeah, because if you know what you're doing and your tasks are repetitive, in other words, like you said, MV Kelly, there's a few other companies that do this. That's their niche. That's all they do. So let's say a 3-tonner, for example. If you know every day you've got gangs out on the road that are using 1.5s and 3-tonners every single day, and you've got a yard, you've got storage, and you know your guy's looking after them because he's assigned to fleet number 1, 2, 3, 4. So if anything goes wrong, it's accountable. Then yeah, you would own those. You would own those bits of kit. Why would you not?
Yeah, makes complete sense.
And it works hand in hand, you know. Really, I mean, if I'm a small contractor or a one-man band, as long as I've got somewhere to keep it secure it, you know, then there's no reason why you shouldn't do that, and then just hire in and out. I mean, and if I'm a big contractor, like we said, a groundworking contractor and that, then a bit of both works as well. So I think there's room for both, really. So there's not really a right answer that Richard's asked us about, really, the right or the wrong way. But I think when you are buying your equipment, I think you need to take into consideration things that you don't normally take into consideration, like the residual value at the end of it. You know, are you go back to it, you buy a machine from a dealer now, and you go back to him in 5 years' time, and you said it was going to be worth that, and see if he'll pay for it, because there's not many dealers out there or OEMs out there that will give you a guaranteed buyback unless there's a strict set of rules. Which basically means if it rained on a Wednesday that I'm going to knock 5% off. You know, that's how it works. Anyway, so hopefully that answers some of that question. It was a good debate. Moving quietly on, because Mark, you probably royally fucked that quiz up last week.
Oh,
just want to say you've got to get yourself together.
Are you saying
we're
this
relying
because
on you, Mark?
you scored nothing?
Explain the rules today, right? I'm going to explain the rules to you, and we're going to go with what we're going to go.
Yeah, I thought it was a really
we're
good
going to ask
quiz.
a member, maybe,
Thanks,
you know, do you want to come in, one of you guys, and
Bit of back office action.
Yeah.
you know, answer questions, because it's only me against Charlie, so you know.
I'll give it a go.
Do you know what this is?
Give it a go then. Give it a go. Don't put yourself out there, because I see you're comfortable.
Do you know what this is? I'm going to tell you what this is. It's because
Keep myself out.
Mark scored 0 on the last one, right? So
Oh, but they were,
he's giving me some stick over, right?
the rules are simple. We discussed it. We had a meeting, didn't we, Charlie? We had a meeting about the quiz.
We did have a full meeting, to be fair. Mark,
And to be honest with you, I was asleep halfway through them. It was about an hour-long meeting about the quiz and the rules. And you came in and completely fucking destroyed them rules. You know, so let's get everyone, because there's some people, believe it or not, that listen to this, that might want to have a go themselves. You ever thought of that?
Right, okay, right.
So the rules are straightforward, yeah?
Yeah, I've
You're
got the
going to
rules.
ask us a series of questions around one topic.
Right, okay.
So, for example, you know, how many sweets do Mars make? Name them. And what are the top selling ones, and how many do they sell? For example, yeah?
Right, yeah.
So we'll say the Mars bar is the top one. I'll have a guess. And the thing is that us lot, we've got to try and get the top 5. Yeah?
Right, so
If there is a tie break, yes, we get a point for each one.
yeah,
That's in the top 5. If there's a tie break, then we go down the list. So if I've got it in the top 10, and I'm number 8, and Charlie's number 9, and Rian's number 7, he wins the point.
right.
Because
well,
he's the nearest to the top 5. Do we get that?
yeah, I've got that. Yeah, right. So are
you
we
explain
doing
that
this
again?
now? Are you ready? Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
But we don't want to write it down. So we need a pad and a pen.
right. Get your pads and pens. I'm gonna give
Can you
you
pass me that? Because I think I'm locked in here.
this week's topic. Do we need some pads and pens for the back
What
office?
about Rian? Yeah. It's all right. Are you going to have some of this?
Right.
I don't think he's ever been on a construction site, though, is he? Is it all about construction?
Yeah, this one is, yeah.
And then what we're going to do, so there's not, because I don't trust any of you around here. What we're going to do is we're going to rip that off the pad, and then we're going to give each other our answers, and then we'll say you'll give us the answer
Yeah.
at the end of the quiz,
Right, okay.
and we'll see how many we got.
Right, okay.
and say it nice and clear so the listeners can.
Yeah, everyone can join in this, right?
So what's the topic?
Right, the topic is 2023 construction company turnover.
Oh,
Right.
So we've got to pick the top 5.
So yeah, I've got the top 10 in front of me.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm looking for, and there's a point for each. I'm looking for a stab at the name
Okay.
and a stab at the turnover.
Good.
Right. So you've got to give me the top 5 companies that you think they are, and if you fancy a extra point, the turnover that goes with those 5 companies.
Yeah. Okay. I ain't dealt with construction companies for years. It's quite interesting actually because.
You don't even know any. Jewson doesn't. Jewson and Howden don't count. This is.
To be fair, they are working in the UK, but I would presume some of them work worldwide. Anyway.
That they are, so there's some of these are worldwide, but I've specifically got the UK turnover.
My tip for you is if you know a name, put it down, and that's it.
hang on. So some of these could be. Is this the turnover in the UK? Sorry, or is this their
This
turnover?
is the 2023 UK turnover.
Okay, sound.
He's got that right.
Yeah, I've got that right. I've got it right.
Are you sure?
So what you're telling me, right? Just so we're clear on these rules. If I picked, because I can pick Carillion because they're bust now, and I said 2.5 billion, you're saying me that's not right because it's not in the UK, or are you saying that you're going to just take the total turnover?
I've got the turnover for the UK.
Oh, for the UK, so okay.
So I'm only looking for, so you got your 5 names and then their corresponding UK turnover.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, you can all take the piss out of me at the end.
Okay. And how long we got to do this? 30 seconds? What's the time limit here? Right.
Yeah, do you want me to, shall I put a timer on it? We haven't actually discussed that. What time?
What if I don't know 5?
Well, then you ain't get no points, mate, do you? You got 0.
Nil point.
Yeah. You just got to hope the 3 that you do know are the top 3.
So what I suggest you do is you put the number 1 as the first one and then go down like that.
That's
I was
going to
put number 2 as the first one.
No, well, I thought you might do it the other way, you know.
Oh, 5th.
I should really brush up my knowledge on construction and plant work from around it, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I reckon, mate. But good luck this week. I don't know what I'm laughing at.
Oh, I don't know what I'm laughing at.
I haven't got a Scooby.
All right, done. I've had a good go.
The only reason I've picked these is like I've worked with both of them.
Okay.
See,
So
my
you've had a
numbers
good
could
shout.
be way off it.
Because it's difficult to pick the top 5 in it because they move about every year, so it's quite a tricky question. Isn't it?
It's an hard one. That's why I thought it'd be interesting, and specifically 2023. So specifically last year, because obviously all of
This
them
year's been
wouldn't have done. It was a slow beginning, and obviously previous years we've had the COVID problem, haven't we? So
How long do you want to try some of that AI you've been trying out, Charlie? You know.
I reckon so. I should get the Elon Musk, the microchip. That'd be handy on this, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think you probably had some of these contractors working at your fucking bungalow, haven't you? The time it's taken.
I think so.
yeah, that's why the turnover's so high. But don't worry, it don't pay 600 quid for the plastering.
Yeah, no. So inevitably we have to stop for 5 minutes or so, and for our sponsors keep us going. So Par for one of their sponsors. I've worked with Par for a number of years, and as I've said before, I feel they've been a major part of our business growth strategy.
One of the key things for me is obviously when you look at other businesses, they specialise in every sector. They don't have any. There's no niche. The great thing for me is Path it's the niche for our industry. The people that they've got on the books are for our industry. The vacancies that they have are for our industry. So for me and for anybody else dealing with Path, it is the go-to place for the construction and plant our industry.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate the comments there, guys, and absolutely right. We that's our specialist. That's all we deal with. So we've been, established for the last 20 plus years, and ultimately we've got hundreds of clients that use us that keep coming back, and that's because we keep filling the roles. We've got a team of 13 people that are all very, very well trained and very, very knowledgeable in the industry, and ultimately, that's our bread and butter. That's what we do.
Well, you read them out, and I'll tell you.
Right. Okay. I'm going to go 5 up. Yeah. Right.
Sweet. I'll read out my ones. We'll all read out, and then you tell us what the top
Yeah.
5
Okay.
are.
Then. Yeah.
So Charlie said, number 1, Lang O'Rourke, 800 million.
I'm so off.
Number 2, he's put Kia, 750 million.
But this is UK turnover, though. I'm thinking like not worldwide, like global turnover.
Some good names in here.
Yeah.
Good names.
To be fair,
Yeah,
he's a
but
good. You've had a good
Number
go
3
here.
is Skanska,
Right.
at 600 million. And number 4 is Amy, which is 500 million. And number 5 he's put down as BAM at 450 million.
I should have added Balfour in there. I knew it. I
Who
forgot about
have
them.
you got?
I've got from Rian, I've got Balfour Beatty, 2 billion, Amy, 400 mil. That's it.
That's
He's done it.
it's good.
Yeah.
He's done well.
It's 2 good ones.
Go on then.
Right. You ready for this?
No, I've got mine yet.
Hang on. So this is Mark's. He's got Balfour Beatty.
Can we hear this? Will
Yeah,
it pick up on the mic?
Yeah. Balfour Beatty, 2.2 billion. Skanksa, 1.9 billion.
Galliford Try.
Galliford Dry,
Oh, that's a good one.
1.6 billion. Kia, 1.2 billion. Costain,
Costain,
95 million.
950 million it was.
Do you know what?
I'll
Right.
have that back then. We can mark it.
Right. You can mark yourselves
Right,
now.
so, right, what was number 1?
Number 1 is actually Balfour Beatty,
Nice. Rian, you got it.
8.6 billion.
Wow.
Oh, as much as that. I don't
got
think you're
1
right there in the
point for
UK,
that.
but anyway, Alpha BE, yeah, cool.
Balfour Beatty.
Number 1, so it's a point for me
It's a point for Rian.
and a point for Rian. Charlie's in trouble.
Gee.
Who's going to have the total? Do you want me to note the actual totals here?
No, we'll write them
Oh, you
down,
got
we
them,
can
right,
have
okay. Number 2, you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Kia Group.
Ooh. So
They
it's in
did
the top 5 though, still.
4.03 billion. If you remember last few years, Kia's done a lot of highways works.
What was it?
Yeah.
Sorry, 4 point.
So that
4.03 billion.
I've got a point for being in the top 5. You put Kia in number
Yeah.
2, so
Yeah.
you get a point, but you didn't get the turnover. So
Definitely way off.
right, so you got a point there. Number 3.
Number 3, Morgan Sindel Group.
I forgot that one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
3.63 billion.
None of us done Morgan.
None of us.
They're doing a lot of highways.
No, yeah,
I'm working for Morgan Sindel at
They're-
the moment. Yeah.
absolutely superb company.
They do a lot of lot of
Oh,
roads.
yeah. How did we forget that? Okay.
I think they do. I think they've got an infrastructure. Sorry, I think they've
Little
got a
point.
construction side that does schools and things like that.
Okay.
Neil Pright, you ready for number 4?
Yep.
Go on.
Wilmot Dixon.
Oh,
Do you know what? Oh, that's pissed me off. Because I was thinking house builder, Wilmot Dixon, because that's the house
They're
builder. I used
huge,
to deal
mate.
with,
Yellow and
yeah.
black. Wilmot Dixon.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, nah, will they? How was it? Yeah, would have. I thought they would be in the top 10,
They do loads of
but I
schools.
didn't think they
as
was going
well.
to be in. Oh,
Yeah, well, here's their turnover. Wilmot Dixon, 2.3 billion.
wow.
okay.
Right. Right, you ready for this then? Number 5, ISG PLC.
Oh, another one.
God.
2.2 billion.
ISG.
Jesus.
Okay, so
Oh, can I give you some interesting facts, because I've actually got up to 10 here, and some of these names you were close. They weren't in the top 5.
go
but
on,
you
give
were
us the
close.
next.
Right, you ready?
Next 5, yeah.
Right, I'll read this off a little quicker. So number 6, Lang O'Rourke,
Nice.
1.9 billion.
Do we get a point for these? if
No,
they're
you
in the
don't.
top?
No.
No.
You're
No.
near, but so far.
Number 7, Mace,
Oh.
1.7 billion.
Mason there.
Yeah, Mace. Yeah. See, I thought that would be a bit lower.
Here's another one. Here's another one. I forgot myself actually. Weights Group, 1.7
Yeah,
billion.
I had weights down, but I didn't think they'd be in the top 5.
And then a few of you mentioned this one. Skanska,
Yeah.
1.6 billion. And then number 10, Galliford Try,
Oh, I had
1.3 billion.
I had Galliford and Skanska, but they were in the top
I think Galliford's are going to go up now. They've won a lot of
So-
water work.
5. We ain't got a point, yeah?
Yep.
Charlie got a point with Keir, and I've come back from the dead from last week.
Right.
I got 2 points.
So Mark Kennedy's got 2, Charlie's got 1, and we're putting Rianne down as 1 as well, yeah?
Well done, Rianne.
Well done.
Do-
Well done.
Brush up my knowledge there.
Yeah, just get it.
So you realise Charlie, so on the league table, Charlie's on
We don't
3.
know yet, because what do you mean he's on 3? What?
Well, from the last quiz, you got 2.
Okay,
So
go on.
Charlie's on. This is the league table, the totals.
Okay.
Charlie's on 3, you're on 2, Rianne's on 1.
Okay, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, but I've got to give the running totals, haven't I?
Well done, Mark. After we, stapled the rules to the back of your head, you finally got it. The last few weeks, we've been doing themes, haven't we, for plant our companies with a theme. That's a film. So got quite a few to still. A lot of people have sent them in, but I thought just mix it up again, because there's a lot of people been sending in nicknames, and I know there's other podcasts that done nicknames, but there's been so many that have sent in, over 100 that we've had so far, and I just thought I'd just pick out 5 or 6 to see where we're going.
I'm ready for this.
So we've got a bloke at work we call Pothole, because everyone tries to avoid him. Oh God! But one of my favourite, I've got a mate. One. He goes. One of them goes. My mate, who's like a machine. He said he's a machine operator. Called him a dumper driver, which he's saying is the lowest form of existence on a building site, which I think is a bit unfair, Mark. Don't you?
I do.
We've got,
yeah.
Dumper drivers are, they're not just for Christmas people. They're for life. He said my mate, the dumper driver, Bob. I won't tell the company. He said we call him the Exorcist, because when he comes over my place for a beer, all the spirits seem to end up going. The other one is got 2 brothers, two painters on the job in Newcastle. Where one's called Stu, and they call the 2 brothers. One of them is called Stu, so they call the other one Soup. I can't think of myself why they call him Soup, but it's because he's not as thick as Stu.
That's good.
I used to work with a guy. Funny enough, I got like this one. I used to work with a guy called Andrew Fitzhall. So we used to call him one size because it was one size fits all. So there you go. It's there's 5 there. There was one left. We'll do 6 of these, and then we'll do something else next week. The guy on site, he said that they had a bring your children to work day on a Saturday kind of thing. So his nickname is the Milkman, because none of his kids look like him. So there you go. So wrapping it up now. Lastly, to just finish off on a couple of things, we've got agony aunt kind of thing. We've got to think what we're going to call. I'll call it an agony aunt. People are writing in with questions.
Got to think.
But they're questions anyway that people are writing in, and one of them says, I'm considering renting construction equipment for an upcoming project. What factors do I consider before selecting the rental company and the equipment? Because they're new to the area, and they don't.
Right, okay.
Don't know the local.
geographical location of the job site and the equipment rental company, because of course one of the biggest factors with hiring equipment is the logistical cost of getting it from, say, whoever hires it to the site. So if you've got to do 100 miles, that's going to start costing you a lot of money, especially if you've got bigger plant like 20 tonners, because you then need movement orders. So if you want to keep your costs at a minimum, you want to select a local hire company, because then of course you've got the response as well. If you do find you need something quite quickly, that also gives you the choice. Maybe you can pop up there and like get it yourself if you've got a lorry, or you can tow it, but they'll be able to respond quickly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Good advice.
okay. I think as well, I'm not saying there's good and bad hire companies, as we know. There's good and bad every company. But if I'm hiring something, make sure you get the PDI from the hire company. Make sure that there's photographs taken of it when you've received it, that you know that you've received it in a certain condition. Because when it goes back, if there's any damage, they'll be charging for it. Make sure you get them before and after pictures from the hire company. Make sure the fuel is filled up, because they'll charge you for it. But yeah, as you said, like the age of the equipment, maybe ask the question of that, making sure you're getting something pretty decent.
Yeah, because the older, not being funny, we all know it's like a car, isn't it? The older kit is also going to consume potentially more fuel. So that and if you've got a long job, that could add up to a cost. So nice new modern equipment, burns efficiently. You can't go wrong there.
Okay. And then the last question that was sent in is, asking really again, guys saying that he's set up his contracting company. He's only been going 3 or 4 months. He's obviously getting into a load of health and safety bits and pieces. And he's saying, is there any advice that can be given on the safety of our workers when we're operating construction equipment on site?
Well, what they call the people-plant interface is a massive thing now. And I've spoke at length to a lot of different contractors, and basically the key takeaway from that, and in answer to the question, is to have strict segregation, right? So where the plant is operating is not a pedestrian zone. No one should be in there, do the job. If you have to speak to the operator or get his attention for some reason, you stay well away. The other side of the segregation, maybe you've got crowd barrier, whatever. The thumbs up always works, didn't it? Give the operator the thumbs up. When the operator sees your thumbs up, he acknowledges it back.
He's seen you then.
He's seen you.
And I think that's a better thing than some of them devices that you've got. Loads of sensor devices out there. They've got their place, where you're wearing it on your high vis, and then you get into a certain area near the excavator or near the piece of equipment. There's a buzzer that goes off and a light show. But when that goes off all the time, some operators just ignore that, where you just make sure that if your own safety, that you're saying what you said there. If the operator's giving you a thumbs up, he's seen you. If he hasn't seen you. So the buzzer might be going off, but if it's going off every 5 minutes because there's a cat and a dog that's walked in there, then he's just going to swing round.
And I think that's the key. I think that's where perhaps education's got lazy over the years, because as a kid growing up, and you guys remember, you might not, Charlie, you're young, but Mark remember this, the old, when you were, it used to be on TV all the time, when you was going to cross the road, there was adverts, weren't there? Stop, look, listen. Do you remember that? It was all about educating
Green
people.
Cross man.
Green Cross code, wasn't it? Green Cross man.
Is that what we need on site?
Yeah.
A Green Cross. Do we need a Green Cross man on
What
site?
coming along? Like, yeah. But the takeaway from that is it's education. You do not go anywhere near. You wouldn't walk in the road aimlessly. You don't go anywhere near my item of plant until you've had acknowledgement in the form of a thumbs up from the driver, and he's brought the machinery, whatever it is, a dumper, an excavator, roller, whatever, he's brought it to a stop and turned it off. Then you can approach, have your conversation. He doesn't start that bit of kit up until you're the other side of the segregation again, and then works may continue. And I think that's got lost. And now, don't get me wrong, look, these gadgets are great, but you've got to remember they're aids. They're just aids to help you. They're not the education. That doesn't. You shouldn't have lights and buzzes and flashing things in place of segregation or in place of education. It alongside
Just
fine.
added value. Yeah.
Added value, yeah.
Thank you.
I
All right,
think-
guys. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say as well. I think just having a generally like breeding a culture of of people that are happy to go and talk about any health and safety issues and raise flags and warnings to anyone on site as well. Because I think sometimes people on site, they might not be able to feel like they can approach that or like go and speak about that to a member of the team.
It's
there.
a very
I think-
valid point, because there's been histories in our industry where people told to shut the fuck up and get on with it,
Yeah.
rather than say no, I don't think that's a safe thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think we've always had that rules wherever we work, that if you don't feel that you should be doing that, that's not a safe act, then
Yeah.
don't do it, because you're the operator of that piece of equipment, aren't you? Especially the operator of that piece of equipment.
Yeah.
You should be the one in charge of operating that equipment, not some foreman or ganger that thinks that you should do an extra lift here and there because it's saving time.
Yeah.
We've seen that horrendous accidents over the years about that. Great. So thanks very much, guys. See you next week.